Morning.
Morning,
Hey.
Karen.
So, welcome everybody watching in, listening in. So, my name is Karen Peters, and I got into menopause. We've all got into menopause, all of us women, but I got into it because I was really interested whether what I do with cognitive movement would help the emotions of women going through menopause. And as it happens, it does. And then that got me thinking because I know everybody's different with menopause. My menopause, pretty easy, not a problem. Whereas my wife, Kath, her menopause was a nightmare. So much so, I nearly left her because I didn't know what the hell was happening. And until I just one day I just got it. I thought, hang on, this isn't about me. This is about her. And I'm just being a complete asshole by not listening or hearing her or all of that type of stuff. So in the end, I wrote a book about it, okay? But the bit that was missing, it's published, but the bit that was missing was a bit about food. I knew there was something missing, and then I was already linked in with Natasha Hodge, and I went on her what
Masterclass.
masterclass. That was it. And then I went, oh my God, adrenal glands. Seriously? I was like, wow. So this is why she's now here, and we are going to talk about menopause and in particular the foods that we eat that actually make it worse. Okay. Award-winning menopause food expert Natasha Hodge. Welcome.
Oh, it's so great to be here. Thanks, Karen.
My pleasure, my pleasure. So tell me, what something must have happened to you for you to be where you are today. So give me your background. Give me a background. How did you get here to be doing this?
Okay, so I had not ever thought to be a nutritionist until I hit 40. So, I was proper midlifer. I hit 40 and I was literally just about to go back to that slimming club, the one that everybody in this country knows very well and probably has visited more than once. I was about to go back for the third time, and I just thought, hold on, this cannot be right. I am the kind of woman that goes, if you tell me something, I'll flip and well do it. And I had, and of course I'd got to my target weight twice. Why
Twice.
didn't I stay there? Why didn't I stay there?
How heavy would you say you were? I mean, that's rude to ask, but
No, it's not rude to ask. I don't mind answering that question. The first time round, I was 12 and a half stone. I'm 5'4", so I was pretty overweight.
yeah.
I'm trying to think what age I was. Probably about 21 at that point. So that was 12 and a half stone.
Okay.
Then I got down to 8.5, and then just thought, I've got this peg, all sorted. And then life kind of happened.
But I put lots of weight on in my 20s.
Yeah, I mean, I think lots of people do.
I say no idea. I was drinking quite a bit, going out after work, and then we'd sit and have like a meal, an Indian.
Exactly.
And it's all that. It's that lifestyle, isn't it?
Yeah,
And then you still end up having breakfast the next day because you feel
that's it. Absolutely. So then I didn't go back to Slim and Wild until after I had my twins, and at that point I was 16 stone. So, obviously again, I'm not a very tall woman, so that was a lot of weight to be carrying. I mean, I did have very large twins, they were 7 pound each. So, but I ate so much food during my pregnancy, I just went completely and utterly mad, eating for three and all that. So, yeah, got down to target weight again. And then, so now I'm about 29. And then, as I say, by 40, and I was running around, I owned my own business. I was working a 90-hour week, so I was very stressed. That's another obviously massive part of what I do now, but and obviously what you do as well.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, 14, I was like, probably at this stage, I might have been back up to that 12 stone mark. So I was a bit like, oh, I've got to go back to slim. Slim World. I'm not supposed to say that probably, but anyway, I've said it. So
You
yeah,
said it
I
like that.
and I just thought, no, this can't be right. It cannot be right. There must be something else. I cannot stick to this, special K kind of cardboard crap. I can't stick to low fat because I flipping well hate the food. So yeah, I accidentally got into nutrition because I read a book called Eat the Yolks.
Okay.
And, we've lived through a time where people were eating egg white omelets and everybody wants to be as low fat as possible and all that sort of stuff. But this book said eat the yolks. The yolks was actually the bit that was nourishing the human body. And everything she said was just like, oh my God, that's why I like to eat fat. That's why I like the crackling on pork, and the skin on the chicken and all these things. And it was like, it was such a simple premise that human beings were given all these different things by Mother Nature, and then we literally turned our back on it and said, you know what, we're much cleverer than Mother Nature, and we'll go to great lengths to remove the fat out of foods. I mean, throughout my pregnancy, I drank so much skimmed milk,
Oh,
unbeknownst to
I
me.
don't like skim milk,
Oh, it's horrible.
but then I
I
don't like
hate it.
full fat. I'm a semi-skimmed.
See, obviously
I'll be
now,
honest, I don't really have much milk nowadays because I
yeah.
don't.
I mean, I think people have been warned away from it, but
Yeah.
the whole point is whole milk unlocks every type of nutrition in the actual substance because that is a complete food, isn't it? So taking the fat out means you don't get any of the calcium, you don't get any of the vitamins and minerals in the milk. It's literally like you might as well be drinking water.
I watched. It was on the other day. Sheep's milk apparently is really healthy for you.
Much better for people that have an allergy to lactose.
Yes.
It's much lower in allergens.
Right. Okay.
And goat's milk. I literally cannot stand either of those. So I just don't like the
I've never
taste.
tried it, but I know goat's milk smells like the goat. So someone told me. I don't know
Yeah,
what
it's like armpits. But then I don't like I don't like goat's cheese either. But yeah, so it made so much sense that we have literally been putting obstacles in the way of our health on every level. Taking out the fat when then the food becomes lopsided. It has not got the things that were there in the first place for us to be able to access the nutrients. So
Right.
as soon as I understood that, I was a bit like, right, okay, if you give me the types of food that I'm allowed to eat, I will make concoctions from it for foods that I really like. So things that I already ate, but make better options. And it was like the weight dropped off, my eczema cleared because I'd had eczema for 40 years. I mean, that was
Well,
probably the worst
this is
part of
it.
my.
I always think that one, emotional health can trigger physical health, but also what we eat, which isn't good for us, because our body is therefore, if we're eating foods that aren't good for us, our body's telling us something. Surely it's going, why are you doing this to me? Look at the disease you're creating in me by what you eat and how you live. So yeah, that makes perfect sense. And it is true that people who change their diet actually improve any other physical wellness within
Well,
them.
that's it. And also, of course, we have all been brought up to believe that if we do get something wrong with us, we just take a trip to the doctor and the doctor will sort it. So the
Yeah,
doctor is giving
yeah.
me steroid creams. I had steroid creams, which again, I had no idea were thinning my skin, for 40 years. And that's where we're turning, that's who we're handing our health to. But the alternative, I mean, I call it the alternative health world. It's ridiculous, really. It's not alternative, it's the biological health world
Yeah.
that I plugged into. So for the first couple of years, I was kind of experimented on myself. And then people were going to me, my God, can you tell me any more, and get your eyes any wider, which is why I'm Natasha is wide-eyed. when you're telling us this stuff, because I was literally like, why don't we know it? Why is it not mainstream? But of course it isn't, because if we are looking after ourselves,
Mm.
we don't have to pay anybody
Yeah,
to
that's
do it for us.
that's
We
true.
don't need pharmaceuticals or crap food.
Yeah, but I think going to you talked about going to your GP. The GPs for a reason, general practitioners. And so everybody thinks that the GP is going to sort them, but the GPs don't because they can only go on what they'll look at something. I remember my GP. So I've had lymphedema, I've had all sorts of wonderful things. And as I'm talking to her, she's Googling the answers, what to look for. I'm going, well, I could
I can do
have done
that.
that. I could have done that. So I was like, seriously?
Yeah, yeah,
So, and I kept saying, well, I've got is vascular. She's going, and just like didn't even acknowledge me. And I was like, I'm wasting my time here. And I saw a different doctor in the end. And I, because I wrote a letter to her, because I thought, because you're not hearing me in that 15-minute, 12-minute slot that we have,
yeah,
you're not hearing me. You're trying to give me something, but it's not enough. So I wrote, so I went back, but I had a different doctor and I said, can I send her a letter to give her my health background, my parents' background when it comes to health and everything. And she was like straight on. We were 10 minutes. She said, I agree with you. I think it's vascular, but we need to take bloods. We need to do heart as well. She said, so let's eliminate everything and then we'll get down to vascular. And I'm still waiting. So my vascular appointment isn't until January next year.
oh, you're joking.
No, it's just the health service. It's absolutely
Well, it's shot to bits, and that's the
it's not our problem,
no.
but it becomes our problem.
Well, and also, how much money would they save with simple, proactive prevention, rather than firefighting all the time? So we've got so much chronic disease. And I mean, as far as I'm concerned, and we'll be going into it as we go on, but every single thing is down to the food. So, to have this amount of, to be spending £25,000 every minute on the NHS for diabetes when it is reversible and type 2, with the food is just, I think it's criminal.
I agree. So, how did you discover what the answer was?
So it was obviously trying it out on me, and a another part of that health journey when I started to eat differently. So the very first thing I did was cut out sugar. So this was before the bandwagon of cutting
Yeah,
out sugar.
I used to be quite heavy on sugar, like cocaine, isn't it? Sugar's like cocaine.
Oh, definitely more addictive than
It's
cocaine.
so addictive.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, I got a free health thing from somebody that I won, and she was over in Leatherhead. I can't remember her name, but she was a nutritionist, and she said sugar is the same. I might this might be wrong, but she said to me it's got the same properties as heroin or something horrible like that. And I went, what? She said, yeah, it's so addictive. And as she says, it's just not healthy for you. So I cut that out. And strangely, I cut that out really easily. I mean, I was a real sweet tooth, but
Yes,
I'd
it was
had
that.
like three sugars in my tea, and I cut that out, and then I actually could taste the tea.
And I mean, it's mad. It's mad. And I think the biggest breakthrough for me was the energy. I was like, we have this kind of belief that sugar gives us an energy boost and a pick me up, and
It doesn't. It
it
gives you
gives us
crap.
a high and then a crash. But when I gave it up, I was like, I'd been a couch potato all my life. So, I was the woman that would be like, why would I go for a walk unless there's a pub at the end of it? That sort of thing. So I I gave that up, and I shifted 22,000 kilos of gravel for our drive. And I did that on my own because I was like, I have got so much energy. Let's do it. Bring it on. And none of my family could help at the time. So yeah, I did that. But I was like, this is amazing. So that was the first thing, giving up sugar. And then I did give up gluten as well at the same time. My daughter had very bad acne rosacea. and she was only 13, and we did it without pharmaceuticals because they wanted to give her steroid creams and stuff. And I was like, no, it's not going to happen, you know.
So what's gluten?
Good. So gluten in any kind of wheat flour
Hmm.
is ripping through our guts. And the human body was not designed to eat it, you know. So a lot of plants have a defense mechanism. They have a defense mechanism so that they survive.
Hmm.
So actually, plants are much more problematic than animal foods, even though we've flipped it right round and everybody's eating the plant foods. I mean, something like soy, for example, is just one of the worst. And yet people are drinking soy milk and having soy flour in their bread, on top of which the food industry has, you know, if say it was a sourdough bread and it's proved for 24 hours, or it's got a starter dough, the gluten is actually being broken down along with the sugar. So that proving process is helping us to digest it better. I still don't very much agree with everybody eating sourdough because I still think we're better off without any gluten at all. But in modern bread, they have taken that gluten and they have made it even stronger. So they can prove a bread in 20 minutes instead of 24 hours.
To get more production line going.
Yes.
Okay.
So that
Is that white and brown bread together?
all the same. They're all the same. Anything that's done in a factory and it's proved in a short amount of time, it will have something called vital wheat gluten in it, and it is a souped up version of gluten. On top of that, you've got something like
Did you
you've
say
got
vital wheat gluten?
yeah, vital wheat gluten.
Wow.
And then you've got other things, and of course, on in other processed, in all processed bread products as well as bread loaves,
Hmm.
you've got something called calcium propionate, and that's a mold inhibitor. And it's not a mold inhibitor for our sake; it's so that it can stay on the shelf for longer. But of course, we need bacteria in our stomach. So if you've got a mold inhibitor in there, what's happening to that? It's going out the window.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we gave up gluten. We cleared my daughter's skin. My son had eczema as well. We cleared his eczema. You know, so it was all these different things. And I was looking around, going, bloody hell,
Hmm.
food can do that. You know, it's that simple. If we just take out these things that we don't need, how our health was sort of balanced. You know. So yeah, so that's where it came from, and I wanted a qualification. Well, somebody else said to me, "You need to get a qualification in it, so then you can actually
Really
you
talk
can
about it.
get a business out of it."
Understand more
Yeah,
people.
yeah. So
Did you?
that's where it started.
Okay. And you lost how much weight?
So I lost. So I went from, what did I say I was? I was about 14 stone of that. No, I was back up to 12 stone. That's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went back to. To be fair, I didn't get on the scales. Just everything fit.
Do you know what? I when I lost weight, I threw the scales away.
Exactly.
I just went on how comfortable my clothes were.
Yeah,
Because I think if
exactly
you're
it.
constantly looking at the scales, you're constantly disappointing yourself. So stop it.
Yeah.
People dieting, stop it. Don't get on the scales. Ignore the scales. Look at the dress sizes instead. It's
That's all
ridiculous.
that you need to know, isn't it? If I went up a pound, how the hell would anybody know and how would I know? And who cares?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know what I went back down to, but I've been in the same size jeans ever since. So that's 13 years ago.
Cool. Well, you look well, I have to say.
Well, thank you very much.
No, okay. Right. Okay, then. So tell me what the biggest problem is.
The biggest problem is the myths surrounding food.
Okay.
So for each person, they have a set of healthy eating rules. It doesn't necessarily mean that they follow them, but they think they know what healthy eating is.
Mm.
So it my my biggest thing is unpicking and unraveling what they believe. And
Mm.
I think a lot of the time it is this, we start our day with porridge because it's so lovely and healthy. We eat plenty of fruit because it's got a health halo. As long as I've got fiber in my diet, as long as I'm eating brown bread or brown pasta, as long as I'm not eating too much red meat and avoiding saturated fat, I'm eating little and often, I'm exercising as much as I possibly can. All of those things are myths.
Yeah.
And people don't know that because they've believed everything they've been told, and so they should, because it looked on the surface
Yeah.
as if that was right. And we shouldn't eat fat because that would clog, if you put fat down a drain, it clogs it up. Because that must be exactly the same as a human being.
My mother-in-law, Eunice, shout out to Eunice. Um, she always has proper butter and a proper butter dish.
Queen.
Absolutely. And she's 83, still going strong. I don't think that woman will ever die. I
Yep.
don't know. I think she'll keep going. She actually eats really healthy. Um, but because I remember years ago, like, I looked at the back, I went, fat butter, God, I mean, and now I'm like, having talked to you, I thought, good for you, Eunice, you've got this right. But do you think that's a generation thing as well?
Their generation is, I mean, it's tricky because my mum is of a similar age and
Hmm.
she obviously adhered to the calorie counting, low fat movement. So
Yeah.
she's the other side of the spectrum, really, because I've met very healthy 83-year-olds. I met a very healthy 102-year-old.
Oh,
She
amazing.
was she was amazing, and she literally said, I said to her, I'm a nutritionist, I really need to know what you've been eating. And she said, I'll pretty much eat anything, but it will never be processed, and I will have always
Oh,
cooked it
did
myself.
you hug her?
I was literally like, I literally love you.
Finally.
Yeah, I love you. And so my aim is to definitely reach 120. So, it's like, if we don't put anything in front of, put any obstacles in the way of every critical function,
Mm,
if it's got chemical in it, if it's got something that our human body does not like and
mm,
should not have, then don't eat it.
yeah.
And it's so unpicking those myths and just saying to people, let's go back to basics. What did humans eat before agriculture? And don't give me that, bullshit excuse that we've been eating bread for 10,000 years. We haven't evolved to eat it. We might be eating it, but we're still getting it wrong.
Yeah.
If our chronic health diseases were going down, I'd go, okay, perhaps this food, system that you're telling us to eat is working, but it's not. It's not working. It hasn't worked for as long as they've told it.
Do you think, I know the answer to this because clearly on what we're talking about, the impact on the health services that we have and all these, like you said, eczema, all these things that we end up having because of food, if we started eating differently, then surely the impact on the health service, national health, is gonna improve rather than it being, because it's in such overwhelm at the moment. We know COVID sort of didn't help that, but it was already sort of breaking before then. And it's just the amount of people trying to get support. So do you know what? We really need to make this video go like viral, because if people could really understand about the foods, and also like when I was younger and I was fat, I would eat microwave foods. I would eat definitely processed foods because they were quicker to do. But actually, in hindsight, throwing some veg and something like that into a pan and just getting, I like a stir fry personally, with healthy vegetables and chicken, but it would have probably taken exactly the same time to actually prepare, just throw in.
That's it.
So what about packaged foods? Like there's, like, I can get packaged veg, for example. Yeah. Is there anything like preservatives in those that they add that would also have an impact?
They're not generally, although they they do gas them for the actual packaging. So there'll be some sort of gassed air in there to keep
Right.
them for
Okay. But it's
longer.
not going to impact the
It doesn't impact nutritionally because, of course,
okay.
that will pretty much go when you boil it or
Good.
steam
It,
it.
it's cheaper to do that for me, as in it's simpler. Because is that
Yeah,
what you said?
and that's absolutely fine. And again, I often say to people, buy frozen chopped veg. You know, if you cannot be bothered to chop an onion, you can buy frozen chopped onion. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, or leeks or whatever it is, make it as simple as possible. But we still need the basics. And so, to me, if it was somebody that was overweight and they've got all sorts of health issues going on, you know, a 5 minute steak with some salad, or you know, a pan of bacon and eggs, a billion times better than buying a count on us balanced bollocks meal from Marks and Spencers. You know.
So this was interesting. So after I had, yeah, went on your webinar and everything, and I like, as you know, I was like blown away. Especially we'll come on onto the adrenal glands and what you also discovered. Um, but I then had a network meeting, of which a new lady had arrived, and she was a nutritionist. And I was going, oh my God, Natasha Hodge, this. I was like really like just blown away by what I discovered because of you. And I said, you know about protein and with cut, and she said, yeah. She says, eggs. I says, eggs. She said, yeah. Yeah, you know, because years ago, like we told not, as you said, not to eat eggs because of salmonella, whatever it was. And she says, no. She says, if you have a carb, you must have protein with it. And I said, seriously? She says, yeah. And she says, so if you're going to have toast, throw an egg on it. So I'm like, eggs. There's eggs in my house now. I mean, there was eggs anyway, but now I'm actually, because sometimes you'll have egg and bacon. She says, I said, so egg and bacon. She said, yeah, it's good because you're counteracting. And I went, oh wow. So that was it. Egg and bacon, got eggs in the house. I'm eating the eggs. Sometimes I just have a boiled egg, just gonna fancy it
Good.
now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really worked. It's worked for me. Do you know what? I feel much better since, I mean I ate well anyway. Um but and I already sort of, because you're talking about fasting. You said you wrote a LinkedIn post I read this morning from you about you went on what was it, a 48-hour fast, was it?
Yeah, that particular day it was 46 hours, but yeah, I do
46 hours. And you had so
occasionally
much
do a
energy, you
48.
said.
Say again.
You had so much energy.
I absolutely love an extended fast. I don't generally go any further than 48 hours because some people do. I don't see the point because you sort of max out on the amount of benefit that you're going to get. A thing called autophagy, where your cells literally get rid of all the old crap ones and renew you. It's amazing. But extended fasting is so good, especially for people who have got a lot of weight to lose. Obviously, that was not my thing, why I did it. I was performing that night. I never eat before I perform. And so I thought I'm going to finish late, so I'll carry on until the next day and don't need to eat. So, you know, you get past your hunger at all. You're
So
not
you said
hungry.
you're a performer. So do you think people's jobs also will impact on when they eat and why they eat?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, if you're sitting at a desk all day, boredom and breaks often makes you want to eat more. But also, if you want to be, you know, completely focused, and of course, you know, we'll get on to the menopause and why I'm a menopause food expert. But of course, the brain fog thing is such a massive issue for women in midlife, who leave their flipping jobs because they cannot function in the meeting in the boardroom and they cannot do their presentations as they want to. And so fasting is an amazing tool to use to get you back on track in a very short amount of time as well.
My friend Hema, who I'd not spoken to about that, that I um went on your webinar and everything until she came round. She says, "Look, I've lost weight." I says, "Have you?" I says, "How did you do that?" She says fasting. So one of the diets where you do that and eat certain foods. And I went, "Oh my God, you look amazing." So and she says, "Yeah, so I've got so much energy." I was like, "Yeah, I know about this now."
Yes.
Right. So and she's menopausal age as well.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
yeah. So and it's all around the middle. All around the middle where we store it as women. So come on then, let's talk about menopause and the foods that we eat and why you are an award-winning menopause expert. So what did you discover?
So I hit menopause when I was 49, and it was because this is quite a long story, which is not in your chapter, but at 48, I had a breakdown because over my nutrition period, I tried all different things, mostly eating real food and fasting. But I thought, which a lot of people think, if I go vegan, I'll have even more benefit. So when I was 48, I actually completely had a mental breakdown after 8 weeks of veganism. And the thing is, obviously, as a nutritionist, I did it with all the supplements. I did it all from scratch. Everything was, as you're supposed to. What I hadn't realized was that only 20% of our global population can actually do it properly.
Do you
And
think were you perimenopausal at the time?
well, yeah, we
Yeah.
didn't know at that point whether I was,
Yeah.
and I had blood tests, and they said, no, you're not. It was completely 100% the food. We know that because of the levels of my B12 and D3, they looked normal, because again, you can be within a normal range, but they weren't normal for me. So a year later, I had migraine aura after eating a whole heap of rubbish at Christmas.
Who?
Migraine aura is it's like
Oh,
disco
migraine
lights.
news. Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
you
yeah.
didn't hear
Yeah,
what I said.
yeah,
Yeah, migraine aura.
yeah.
Got very scared, went to the doctor, and they said, well, let's just check whether you're in perimenopause. And I was. But at the same time, we saw my B12 and D3. So this is a year on from my breakdown. And they were 4 times what I was when I had the breakdown. And because B12 and D3 are completely cognitive, B12 is whether you've got anxiety and D3 is depression. So, it was a massive, I had completely drained myself that fast. Anyway, so here I was, I now knew I was perimenopausal. So as soon as I went back to eating absolutely normally after that Christmas kind of crap phase, after my migraine aura appeared, I just, a couple of weeks later, and I was like, oh, I feel absolutely fine. I've never had the migraine aura since. The following Christmas, you'd think I'd have learned, but the following Christmas, went completely and utterly mad again because I go, oh, I've eaten so well over the year. I can cope, even though last year I didn't. And I'm in perimenopause, so it's not a good idea, Natasha, but I still did it. So, and then I had palpitations and thought I was having heart failure, so had the ECG, but I'd already gone back to eating as I am supposed to eat in the wide-eyed way. And at that point I was a bit like, okay, I've probably got something to say to menopausal women, but everybody's talking about bloody menopause, so no, I'm not going to go into it. I don't want to. And then I did a diploma in the management and care of type 2 diabetes. Well, it was in all types of diabetes, to be honest. But if I was going to niche into helping diabetics, and it was such a light bulb thing because it was such a hormone led um, protocol that it made sense why my hormonal levels were on an even keel because I was eating foods that didn't require insulin, and insulin's this master hormone, and it interferes with literally everything. So whatever's going on with a human being, if you've got any kind of health issue, it is because insulin is dysfunctional. So here I had all these kind of things coming together, and I thought, bloody hell, I knew about insulin, but I didn't know, it was really involved, this bloody diploma, but it was, I needed to know the biology of it and why it was happening. But the complications of insulin resistance are linked to everything. And I just kept thinking, all the things, even if you're never diabetic, if you've never been diabetic, if you've never even been pre-diabetic, all the things that go wrong for a diabetic person are going wrong in non-diabetics. All the same things. So people are still getting peripheral nerve damage. People are still getting, polycystic ovary syndrome and endometriosis and cancer and heart disease and stroke, and they're all interlinked. So again, I didn't want to touch menopause. I'm toying with diabetes, and I help people to reverse that. And then in 2023, I was like, there's got to be a proper mechanism why menopause is literally getting so much worse. And it is. I know we're talking about it more, but people are really suffering. They're really, really going through the mill with it. And I wanted to know why specifically. And that was when I stumbled across the adrenal gland thing. And the adrenal glands are, if you look into the research, they're mentioned a lot, but nobody talks about how to feed them and how to make them better and how to reverse adrenal fatigue and just to make them stronger. And we live in a world where we are stressed all the time, but we've also taken out the fat. So we've taken out the cholesterol. We've taken out all these things that our adrenal glands need.
For us.
That are good for us,
Our body
exactly.
needs. Yeah.
Yeah, that have all the nutrients in them that help the menopausal women, to go through it. I hadn't understood. I mean, again, we're not taught about menopause, and we have to flip and become detectives when we get here because nobody's actually said why it happens, what it does. I just kept thinking it isn't just about us, our periods stopping. What is the actual mechanism? So this, menopause is just a transition back to our non-fertile years. So pre-puberty is our second puberty. We're just going the other way.
Second puberty. I love it. In reverse.
Second puberty. So, and I think people think that they're having a bumpy time of it because, the body doesn't really know what it's doing. But it 100% knows what it's doing. It's just got a whole heap of obstacles to navigate. And so now you've got insulin resistance because people have been eating carbohydrate laden meals, thinking that they're doing the right thing. No flipping wonder that they're starting their day with porridge and fruit. Massive amount of sugar. Insulin needs to be there. And then eventually, 40 is that point where it's all going wrong. And it's not just going wrong for women, it's going wrong for all humans, men and women, exactly the same time.
Well, we talked about, because it was in my book, I talk about andropause as well, because you get that decline in testosterone. But actually, the amount of men that we see who have gained weight around their stomach is the same thing as women, isn't it, with
Exactly
menopause?
the same. And they've got low testosterone because their adrenal glands are not in good condition, and well, nothing is, and again, if you've got insulin resistance, we talk about in menopause, we talk about, vaginal dryness. But on the flip side, with a man, it's going to be erectile dysfunction. They are both sides of the same coin. He's not having a menopause. So is it insulin resistance or is it menopause that's causing the vaginal dryness? It is, to my mind, this insulin dysfunction again. And yeah, give him pills to a flipping man, but actually he's more likely to have a heart attack because there is some serious issues if the blood flow is not getting to where it needs to go.
It just, and this is why you're in my book, for starters,
Thank you.
but also because, and there are lots of menopause experts out there, and I've no idea why I was drawn towards you because I've linked in with a lot of them, but it's just the stuff that you were basically writing about, and I thought I've got to get on this. I've got to understand what it was, and that as soon as you said this is insulin resistance, I went, holy moly, how I need to talk to you and you need to be in my book. Because honest to God, it was the missing bit. I talk about everything, but the food was never a thing that I knew
Mm.
until I came and listened to you. And it was huge. And I will say to anybody, if you can get on any of Natasha's webinars or anything like that, just do it because you're going to learn so much and you're going to benefit health wise, mentally as well, because it really, like, if you're physically unwell, then chances are mentally it's going to be impacting you. And we know, like, the stuff like the brain fog for women, that's a huge impact as well for them. And there's just too many people, women leaving the workplace um with menopause symptoms that actually the food could literally help resolve.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely brilliant. Now, question then, will this work for everyone thing, like, what if you've got a metabolism problem? Is it does it matter about age, ethnic groups? Does it, can we all embrace this, or is it
Eh,
different for different people?
I personally think absolutely anybody can go back to sort of ground zero and say, okay, this is what human beings needed. Obviously, ethnicity is an issue on insulin resistance front because you are more likely to be diabetic if you are South Asian or Afro-Caribbean because of your genetics.
Mm,
But if those same people were eating human, real food, which is meat, fish, dairy, eggs, nuts, seeds, and leafy green vegetables, there is nothing getting in the way of the critical functions. Literally nothing. There is, these are unadulterated foods that you can put into any kind of combination.
mm,
Yeah, we still get to use spices and other vegetables to create nice meals. But if you are a human being, your biology will welcome those foods. They have to be full fat, the fat that grew with that food. And if it has been grown in the sun, that's the whole point to our food. Our food is converting the sun's energy. That's all it is.
mm,
And so if we can have bioavailable foods that don't, if you eat something that, like Coca-Cola, let's just pluck something out of thin air. But you put that in, now you've got dysfunction everywhere, and your body's trying to do a workaround. It's going, bloody hell, need to get rid of this, and so your kidneys are stressed. The potassium in there, the vegetable dyes, the caramel, it sounds really like it's something really nice and homely, but it's an actual chemical that our bodies don't welcome. So, and then a whole heap of sugar that isn't digested as such, it just goes straight into your liver. So these are things where your body's literally going to go, what the hell have you just put into me? I've got to do something about it. But if it had a steak and eggs, it would go, yippee! Right, okay, let's coat your adrenal glands. Let's cope with all the stress that's coming in. Let's light up your brain. Let's make sure that you're thinking clearly. Because now you've got a beautiful, beautiful foundation in your mind for good thoughts. Because you can't have good thoughts with, junk floating about in your brain.
yeah. So you talked about fizzy drinks and stuff like that. Um, so it's okay to have a fizzy drink. Just make sure is that what you eat alongside it sort of counteracts it.
No, just
No,
don't ever drink
bypass it
one.
completely.
Don't drink one. Why would you drink it? You're drinking a chemical concoction with sugar that's superfluous to your nutritional needs. Sugar isn't a nutrition.
What about if it's like, Pepsi Max or something like that? We shouldn't keep naming things. But what if it was so-called low sugar? Makes no difference.
Makes no difference to your blood sugar. In fact, they have done a recent study that shows that it's more detrimental because your body prepares for incoming sugar, which it doesn't get.
Okay.
So it's usually got something like aspartame. That's jury's out on it, but we're pretty sure it's carcinogenic. But it's raising your blood sugar, which means you're still getting insulin. So it's not the sugar that's causing the problem, remember, it's the insulin. If the insulin is high inside you, you are in trouble. It's going to cause inflammation every single place.
Is there a test for that to see how?
There is a test, it's not a normal test. So you wouldn't go to your doctor and say, "Can you test my insulin?"
Right.
Because it's quite an expensive test. So obviously the one that they do is blood glucose because it's much simpler. But you see, you can have a normal blood glucose and have dysfunction of insulin. So basically, you know you've got dysfunction of insulin if you have any kind of symptom. Any kind of symptom. It can be a spot on your nose. That is a symptom. You know, something's going wrong with your skin because there is something going on inside. Every single symptom is like, celebrate those blinking symptoms. My body is trying to tell me something and I'm going to do something about it.
Always comes back to food.
Always. What else? When you think, what are we actually built from? What is our actual being built from? Apart from we do have a lot of micro biome bacteria in us, which is a huge part of the human body, but they can be very dysfunctional. And if they're dysfunctional, they are creating crap thoughts in your brain, because they want sugar and you might have the sugar loving bacteria and they can mess with you. But pretty much every single cell in your body was built from food. Do you want it built from Coca-Cola or do you want it built from steak?
And we're giving it to our kids. That's the thing. We're already making our kids unhealthy through stuff.
Well, we've got ADHD going through the roof, haven't we? We've got
Oh my
autism.
God. Yes, surely there's an impact here because it's got to be linked, surely.
It is because they already know that there is a particular kind of diet, pretty much the same one I'm telling you about, full fat, meat, fish, dairy, eggs, nuts, seeds, and leafy green veg. If you give that to a child who has got ADHD spectrum stuff, they can reverse it. It's massive, but it's not mainstream because there is so much shadow banning, there is so much censoring going on because they do not want us to help ourselves because then we can no longer be a customer. We're no longer going to go into the supermarket and buy a bag of New York bagels.
What about
So
autism?
autism. Yeah, all of these things. If you think successive generations are being built nutritionally with substandard food,
Hmm.
and it's what drives me mad is that these people don't know it. It's so unfair because they're literally sticking to what they've been told. So we're eating, you know, huge amounts of sugar during our pregnancies, huge amounts of chemicals because it looks like we should. We've not got the fat. So if you've got a nutritionally, um, the fat isn't there to support the fetus.
Yeah.
You've already. I mean, I'm absolutely guilty of it. I'm lucky that my children didn't have something wrong with them. I ate so badly during my pregnancy. But again, I kind of thought I was doing all right. I ate a lot of ready meals and that skimmed milk and, the cereals. And so I had a lot of sugar. I mean, yeah, again, it's lucky I didn't get gestational diabetes or whatever, but it's all about the food. We to make better humans, they have to be built with the right food.
It's shocked. I'm sorry, I'm just shocked by some of this, because I don't think we talked about ADHD last time. You might have mentioned it, but it didn't register with me because I was so shocked at the adrenals bit and the insulin resistant stuff. Um, and there's, oh God, right, okay. Do I need to add some more into my book? My book's getting bigger. So yeah. So the other thing is you and I are going to probably team up and go into workplaces as well to talk about this, and from an emotional point of view, for me to support not just the women going through menopause, but the men as well, going through what they're going through. So we want a healthier workplace as well as home life as well. We wanted to extend it. Question that my wife asked was, what if she's too skinny and needs to put on weight during menopause? So some people put on weight, but for her, she sort of, I think she's healthy, but she's underweight. But then she's a gardener as well.
Mm.
But she does the fasting. She doesn't know she does it. And for her, it was because of anxiety. So she won't eat until something like 4 o'clock. And
So just naturally she was doing that.
she was
Yeah,
naturally doing it, which is
yeah,
why she's,
yeah,
so like I'd eat like throughout the day when I was fat, but she would just goes, no, I'm not ready to eat yet.
yeah.
And it's just,
I mean, I have had clients that have had trouble putting on weight. So you can be a thing called TOFI, which is thin on the outside, fat on the inside. So your vital organs can be coated in fat. And one of the ones we really don't want any fat in is your liver. And that's, usually if you eat a lot of fruit or normal sugar, then your liver has to metabolize the fructose, which
yeah.
is fruit sugar. And so when we fast, we get rid of that. So a very slim woman like your wife,
Mm.
because she fasts, it makes me think that's why her body is slim. I don't worry about people who are slim because that's the type of body she was born to have.
To be honest,
Like,
she used to be a runner, so she also always had that slim build. It's just over the years she's lost more weight, but then she's a gardener now. And I think for her, probably it's just about eating more during that window.
and eating more in the way of anxiety reduction foods. So are there definitely going to be the ones I talk about on the shoring up the adrenals.
Yeah.
So the offal, the red meat, the butter, the eggs, the shellfish. These
Yeah,
are
the other
things.
day.
Say again.
She had some eggs the other day because I said about to her with eggs. She went, "Yeah, I'm gonna have an egg with that." So, so she's listening.
Does she not normally then?
No, she wouldn't. She is a meat woman. She loves her
Good.
meat without doubt. And she to be honest, she's always had meat with carbs. She would never have a
Right.
carb on its own. She would always like she wouldn't just have a sandwich.
Yeah.
She would have like a ham sandwich or something,
Yeah.
not necessarily ham because ham can be processed as well, but she'll
Yeah.
have something else. She likes cheese as well. But yeah, no, she's
So if it was
well, she won't really have a punch. She might have a little bit of ice cream after, but it's straight after.
okay.
So
Yeah, so it's we still need somebody like that. It's not about weight loss, it is about the nutrition element. So then
I don't
even
think
if she has a
she
very slim build,
has yeah.
she doesn't obviously need the carbs because what we are still trying to get to, especially as she's got anxiety, that is the manifestation of the insulin resistance. So her brain is is not getting the nutrients that are going to put paid to the anxiety. So the anxiety is this: we need the B12 to be through the roof. We need the D3 to be as good as it possibly can be. On top of that, we've got the other B vitamins. So we definitely want more of the offal meats where it's going to be much more nutrient dense. But obviously the fats is a major thing. So she may well benefit more from more fat intake with
Okay.
her
I'm gonna
protein.
change. I'm moving to full fat butter. I'm
Yeah.
gonna bring it in because we do
Yeah.
that. So,
I mean, if she likes milk, then Jersey milk is a really good one. It's much more easily digested, and it's higher in fat, and it's
Absolutely.
delicious.
Just
So
a tea and that's about it, and it's just like a drop. But I will say that her anxiety is from childhood and not necessarily
yeah,
as a
so yeah,
diagnosis.
trauma informed,
But I
but
don't
yeah,
think I have.
it's still something that can help you cope with there are nutritional things that can support any kind of emotional problem as well. So I think again we tend to not understand that, but we do need those foundations there to even be able to properly take a deep dive and unpick the emotional stuff that's happened in our lives.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. I mean, this has been, I mean, we've talked, but now I've properly sat down with you, and everyone else is now going to listen in. It's been an eye opener, and I think it will continue to be an eye opener for me, and probably for a lot of people watching this. What's your website?
Natasha is wideeyed.com. But
Natasha.
I'm on most of the things like TikTok and Instagram. That's wide-eyed menopause. So yeah.
Talking to menopause, this is the book. Everyone get it. The chapter for with about food is in there, and Natasha has got some free stuff as well in there, and links to that, and all sorts of wonderful information for you guys. So please get it. Natasha, it's been fantastic. Anything you want to add?
I don't think so. It's been absolutely lovely. I love, well, obviously, I love talking about this stuff. So I've been in my element. But thank you so much for letting me be in your book. I'm just so excited.
Yeah, you're the only contributor. So yeah, so that was missing, but I couldn't have done it without you. So
Ah,
hopefully now the book is complete and I've not got to do another version of it. But I'm now taking so I've written another book since talking to you.
just like that. I just
I was
come back.
because it's in me, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? When it's in me. So I was, and this is also in my new book, and it's a menopause handbook for workplace leaders. I don't talk about food in there because it's about empathy and seeing things. So the two books sort of go together. And that came about because I had a book in a network meeting, and Grant said, he said, you need to change the title of this. I said, why am I changing the title of this? Anyway, so I walked out, it was at the end of the meeting. And then I went from there to another network meeting, and a lady called Maz, who's an employment law woman. She said, you need to write a book on the workplace. And I went, oh, that's what Grant was trying to say to me. So I wrote the book.
yeah.
There you
See
go.
again,
And
the
that's out
universe
now.
said,
So yeah.
yeah, Karen, this is what we need next.
Yeah, oh God, there's loads we need next. I don't know. I don't know where we're going to go with this, but I know I want every workplace, because if we can get people in one area in the workplace, and we'll talk about menopause and the foods that we eat, we're going to have a healthier workforce. We're going to have less as absenteeism, more presenteeism, and it's going to be a life change for everybody.
That's right.
Simple as that. And
Yeah.
on that note, thank you so much for coming in and having a chat with me.
Been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Brilliant.